The Craigslist ad had been deceptively simple. Roommate needed, $600 month, furnished, clean, quiet preferred. I'd responded out of desperation more than anything else. 23 years old, fresh out of college with a communications degree and crushing student debt, living in my parents' basement in suburban Philadelphia while working a soul-destroying retail job. The apartment was in the city, small but mine, or half mine, technically. The guy who answered my email was named Liam Chen. We'd met for coffee before signing anything, standard roommate protocol, and I'd been struck immediately by two things. First, that he was unfairly attractive in that specific way where you can't pinpoint any single feature but the overall effect is devastating. Second, that he was possibly the most soft-spoken person I'd ever encountered. I work from home, he'd explained, stirring his coffee methodically. Software engineer. I keep weird hours sometimes, sorry in advance, but I'm quiet about it. Headphones, you won't even know I'm there. That's fine. I work retail, so my schedule's all over the place anyway. Cool. He'd looked at me then, really looked, with dark eyes that seemed to see more than I was comfortable showing. I'm gay, by the way. Don't know if that matters to you, but I figure it's better to be upfront about it. My heart had done something complicated. It doesn't matter. I'm also gay, actually. Something had shifted in his expression, relief maybe or recognition. Then we're good. When do you want to move in? That had been August. Now it was June, and we'd lived together for 10 months that felt simultaneously like forever and no time at all. My name is Asher Reeves. I was 24 now, still working retail but with vague plans to figure out what came next. I had brown hair that never quite did what I wanted, green eyes that my mother said were my best feature, and a chronic inability to make decisions about my future. And I was, inconveniently and catastrophically, in love with my roommate. I hadn't meant for it to happen. I'd been careful, actually, maintained boundaries, kept my distance, treated our living situation as purely transactional. For the first month it had worked. Liam was exactly what he'd promised. Quiet, considerate, barely there despite physically occupying the same space. But then I'd started noticing things. The way he made coffee in the morning with ritualistic precision, measuring grounds like they were precious. The way he'd leave post-it notes around the apartment, took out trash, bought milk, fixed that weird outlet in the bathroom, small gestures of consideration that added up. The way he'd sometimes emerge from his room at 2 in the morning, padding into the kitchen for water, his hair mussed and his face soft with sleep, and I'd pretend I hadn't been awake on the couch, pretend I wasn't memorizing the curve of his shoulders under his t-shirt. The way he'd asked, one Sunday in October, if I wanted to watch a movie with him. I'm not trying to make this weird, he'd said, hovering in my doorway. I just thought, we live together, we barely talk, and that seems kind of sad. But if you're not interested, totally fine. No pressure. I'd said yes. We'd watched some science fiction thing I couldn't remember the plot of because I'd been too busy being aware of Liam beside me on our second-hand couch, close enough that I could feel his warmth, far enough that touching would require deliberate choice. After that, it became routine. Sunday movie nights. Sometimes we'd both make dinner, me attempting to cook while Liam provided technical assistance and dry commentary. Sometimes we just order takeout and argue good-naturedly about what to watch. I learned things. That Liam had grown up in San Francisco, only child of immigrant parents who'd wanted him to be a doctor. That he disappointed them by choosing computer science instead, then disappointed them further by coming out at 19. That he rarely went home now, the relationship polite but distant. They're not hostile, he'd explained once. Just confused, like they're waiting for me to grow out of it and bring home a nice Chinese girl. I got tired of trying to convince them it doesn't work like that. That's lonely, I'd said. Yeah, he'd looked at me then with something unguarded in his expression. But you build new families, I guess. people who actually see you. I'd wanted to say I see you, wanted to close the distance between us, wanted to be brave enough to take a risk. I hadn't. That was the pattern for 10 months. Me wanting, Liam being unknowably friendly but never crossing any line that would suggest he wanted the same thing. Me falling deeper despite knowing it was useless, that roommates didn't become lovers except in fantasies, that I should be protecting myself better. By June, I was exhausted from wanting. "You need to tell him," my best friend Myra said for the 1000th time. We were having drinks at her place, safely away from the apartment where I could be honest without fear of being overheard. "Or move out. But Ash, this is killing you." "I can't tell him. We live together. If he doesn't feel the same way, it'll make everything impossibly awkward." And the current situation isn't awkward. You're living with someone you're in love with pretending you're not. That's the definition of awkward. It's manageable awkward. Confession gone wrong awkward is way worse. You're being a coward. I'm being realistic. Liam is, he's careful, guarded. If he was interested, he'd have said something by now. Would he? You're not exactly broadcasting availability. I'm gay. He knows that. If he wanted something to happen, he has all the information he needs to make a move. Myra had given me a look that suggested I was being deliberately obtuse. Or maybe he's in the exact same position you're in, wanting something but too scared to risk the friendship. That's wishful thinking. That's basic human psychology. You're both idiots. I'd gone home that night to find Liam on the couch, laptop balanced on his knees, wearing glasses I'd only seen him use when he was tired. He'd looked up when I came in and smiled, and my heart had done its usual acrobatics. "How's Myra?" "Good, judging my life choices." "That's friendship." He'd closed his laptop. "Want to watch something? I'm taking a break from work." "What are you working on?" "Debugging someone else's terrible code. It's making me question my career choices." "At least you have a career." "You'll figure yours out. You're good with people, that's rare." "I stock shelves and scan groceries, not exactly leveraging my people skills." "So find something that does. You've got time." He'd said it so simply, like futures were just things you decided on and then achieved. Like being 24 and directionless wasn't a personal failing. "Thanks," I'd said, meaning it. "Of course. Now come watch this documentary about fraud. It'll make you feel better about your life by comparison." That was 2 weeks ago. Since then, I'd been in this weird liminal space of knowing I couldn't sustain this forever while being unable to imagine what came next. Moving out meant losing Liam entirely. Confessing meant potentially losing him differently. I was trapped by my own inability to make a choice. And then on a Friday night in late June, everything changed. It started with Liam being uncharacteristically off. I noticed it Friday evening when I got home from my shift. Liam was in the kitchen, staring into the refrigerator like it held secrets, his shoulders tense in a way I'd learned to recognize as stress. "You okay?" I asked, setting down my bag. He turned and I saw his face was drawn, shadows under his eyes deeper than usual. "Yeah, no, I don't know." That's 3 different answers. Consistent with my current mental state. He closed the fridge without taking anything. "My parents called. They're coming to visit next weekend." "Oh." "Yeah, oh." He leaned against the counter, running a hand through his hair, a nervous gesture I'd cataloged months ago. "They haven't visited since I moved here 2 years ago. Suddenly, they want to see how I'm doing." That's good, right? That they're making an effort. It would be if I believed that's actually why they're coming. But my mom was weird on the phone. Kept asking if I was still doing that computer thing, and if I'd met anyone nice lately. That computer thing being your entire career. Yep, and anyone nice being code for a woman who will turn me straight through the power of heterosexuality. That's not how that works. Try telling them that. Liam closed his eyes briefly. Sorry, I'm dumping my family dysfunction on you. That's not fair. We're friends. That's what friends are for. Something flickered across his face at the word friends, there and gone too quickly to identify. Thanks, Ash. I appreciate that. I'm not ready for this, for explaining my life to people who don't actually want to understand it. You don't have to explain anything. You're an adult. Your life is your business. I know that intellectually. Emotionally, I'm still the 19-year-old getting lectured about disappointing expectations. That sounds exhausting. It really is, he pushed off the counter. I'm going to work, trying to anyway, might be up late. Okay, let me know if you need anything. He paused in the doorway, looking back at me. You're good at that, you know, making people feel less alone. Before I could respond, he was gone, disappearing into his room with a soft click of the door. I stood in the kitchen for a long moment, replaying the conversation, trying to decode the subtext I felt like I was missing. Saturday was worse. Liam was visibly anxious, short-tempered in a way I'd never seen, snapping at his laptop when code didn't cooperate. I gave him space, but it was hard watching someone I cared about obviously struggling. Sunday evening, I made an executive decision. We're going out, I announced, standing in his doorway. Liam looked up from his computer, confused. What? You've been in this apartment stressing about your parents for 3 days. We're going out, getting food, doing something that isn't sitting here spiraling. Ash, I have work. That can wait, come on. There's that Thai place you like that's open late, my treat. You don't have to. I know I don't have to. I want to, please. I'm worried about you. Something in his expression softened. Okay, give me 5 minutes to change. The restaurant was busy but not packed, and we got a table by the window. Liam seemed to relax marginally once we'd ordered, the change of scenery doing exactly what I'd hoped. Thank you, he said after we'd gotten our food, for forcing me out of my head. That's what roommates are for. Is it? Because I feel like I signed up for someone to split rent with and somehow got a friend who actually cares. Seems like I got the better end of that deal. You fixed our shower when it broke, and that weird electrical thing. I'd say we're even. Those were easy. What you do, he stopped, seeming to reconsider his words. Being cared about, that's rarer than you think. You deserve to be cared about. Do I? The question was quiet, almost rhetorical. Sometimes I think I'm too much work, too complicated, too in my own head. Everyone's complicated. That's not a character flaw. My parents would disagree. Your parents are wrong. Liam looked at me across the table, and there was something raw in his expression. You really believe that, don't you? That I'm not, that I'm okay as I am. Of course, Liam, I stopped myself from saying the million things I actually thought about him. You're a good person. You're smart and thoughtful and funny when you let yourself be. Anyone who can't see that isn't paying attention. He was very quiet for a moment. Then, Ash, can I ask you something? Always. Do you ever feel like you're living your life at a remove? Like you're watching it happen instead of actually participating? The question hit closer to home than I wanted to admit. Yeah, all the time actually. How do you deal with it? Honestly, not well. I just, I keep waiting for things to feel real. For me to feel like an actual adult making actual choices instead of just drifting. Is that why you haven't figured out what's next, after retail? Probably. Hard to make decisions when nothing feels quite solid. Liam nodded slowly. I get that. I'm 27 and I still feel like I'm pretending to be a functional human. Like someday someone's going to realize I have no idea what I'm doing and revoke my adult card. If they do, we can be fake adults together. He laughed, a real laugh, the first in days. Deal. We finished dinner talking about easier things. Bad movies we'd subjected each other to. Liam's ongoing war with his neighbor's wind chimes, my increasingly elaborate plans to quit retail and become a professional dog walker. You don't even like dogs, Liam pointed out. I could learn to like dogs. That seems like a fundamental prerequisite for the job, not something you learn afterward. You're very logical, it's annoying. You're very impulsive, it's terrifying. And yet here we are, functional roommate relationship. Something shifted in his expression at that. Yeah, here we are. The walk home was comfortable, quiet in the way that felt companionable rather than awkward. When we got back to the apartment, Liam paused before going to his room. Thanks, Ash, really, for tonight, for he seemed to struggle for words. For being you, it helps more than you know. Any time. He looked like he wanted to say something else, his mouth opening then closing, before he just nodded and disappeared into his room. I went to my own room feeling like I'd missed something important, some signal I should have recognized. At 3:17 a.m. my door opened. I jerked awake, disoriented, my heart hammering. Liam stood in my doorway, backlit by the hallway light, wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt, his hair disheveled. Ash, his voice was rough. Are you awake? I am now. What's wrong? I can't, he stopped, started again. Can I come in? Of course. He closed the door behind him and stood there for a moment, like he was trying to decide something. Then he crossed to my bed and sat on the edge, careful not to touch me. I can't sleep, he said. Haven't been able to for days. I keep thinking about my parents visiting and having to explain my life, and he took a shaky breath. I can't keep doing this, Ash, living at a distance, pretending things that aren't true. I sat up, more awake now, my heart doing something complicated. Liam, what are you talking about? I'm talking about, he stopped, his hands twisting together. God, this is harder than I thought it would be. Take your time. No, if I take my time, I'll lose my nerve. He turned to look at me in the darkness, and even with limited light, I could see the fear in his expression. Ash, I need to tell you something. Something I should have told you months ago, but I was too scared. And if I don't say it now, I never will, and that's not okay anymore. I can't keep being this version of myself that isn't honest. Okay, I said, my mouth dry. Whatever it is, you can tell me. Can I? Because what I'm about to say could ruin everything. Our friendship, our living situation, everything we've built this year. And I don't want to lose you, but I also can't keep pretending I don't feel what I feel. My heart was in my throat. What do you feel? Liam took a breath that sounded painful. I'm in love with you, have been since, God, probably October, November. I don't know exactly when it happened, but one day I realized I was watching for you to come home, that my best parts of the day were Sunday movie nights, that I was finding excuses to spend time with you. And I tried to convince myself it was just that we were friends and that was enough. But it's not enough, Ash. Not anymore. The world had narrowed to just us. Just this moment. Just the impossible reality of Liam Chen sitting on my bed at 3 a.m. telling me the exact words I'd been desperate to hear for months. Say something, Liam said, his voice breaking. Please, even if it's that this is crazy and I should move out, just say something. I've been in love with you since October, I said, the words tumbling out. Since that first Sunday you asked to watch a movie. I've spent 8 months trying to hide it because I was so sure you didn't feel the same way. Liam stared at me. October, you've since October. Yes. We've been doing the same thing for 8 months, both pretending we don't feel, he laughed, sharp and disbelieving. We're idiots. Complete idiots. Ash, he reached for me, his hand trembling. Is it okay if I closed the distance between us, and Liam made a sound that was half relief, half sob as I pulled him into a kiss that felt like coming home and jumping off a cliff simultaneously. He kissed me back like he'd been starving, like 8 months of wanting had condensed into this moment. His hands came up to cup my face and mine slid into his hair, and for a few perfect seconds there was nothing but this. The reality of Liam kissing me, wanting me, being exactly where I dreamed he'd be for months. When we broke apart, both breathing hard, Liam pressed his forehead to mine. "This is real," he whispered. "Tell me this is real and I didn't just hallucinate this entire conversation." "It's real, I'm real. Liam, this is everything I wanted and didn't think I could have." "Same, God Ash, same, I've wanted this for so long." He pulled back enough to look at me and his eyes were bright with tears. "I was so scared that you'd say no. That I'd ruin everything, that I was reading everything wrong." "You weren't reading it wrong. I just I didn't think someone like you could want someone like me." "Someone like you, Ash, he stopped, seeming overwhelmed. "You're the first person in years who's made me feel like myself, who sees me as something other than a disappointing son or a useful employee or just a function. You see me and you somehow still like what you see. How could I not fall in love with that?" "I feel the same way about you. You make me feel less lost, like maybe I don't have to have everything figured out right now, and that's okay." We can just," he kissed me again, softer this time. "We can just be this for now, figure out the rest as we go." "What about your parents, their visit?" Something determined settled in his expression. "I'll tell them about us, about the fact that I'm happy for the first time in years and it's because of you, and if they can't accept that," he took a breath, "then that's their loss, but I'm done pretending, Ash, done living for their version of my life instead of mine." "That's brave. That's terrifying, but I think you're worth being terrified for." "I'm definitely worth it." He laughed, the sound lighter than I'd heard from him in days. "There's that ego I'm here for." "You love my ego." "I love everything about you, actually. That's kind of the whole problem." "Not a problem, the opposite of a problem." "What's the opposite of a problem?" "This." I kissed him again because I could, because he wanted me to, because 8 months of denial had ended, and the future was suddenly bright with possibility. We stayed like that for a while, kissing, touching with the kind of wonder that comes from something impossible becoming real. Eventually, Liam pulled back. "I should probably go back to my room." "Or," I suggested, my heart hammering, "you could stay here, just to sleep. I don't want you to leave yet." "Okay, yeah, I'd like that." We rearranged ourselves under my blankets, Liam fitting against me like he'd always belonged there, his head on my chest, my arm around his shoulders. "This is going to change everything," he said quietly into the darkness. "Is that bad?" "No, it's big, going from roommates to this, making sure we don't mess it up." "We won't mess it up." "You sound very sure." "I am, because we're good at being us. We've been good at it for a year. This is just adding another layer, a better one." "I hope you're right." "I'm always right, it's annoying." I felt him smile against my chest. "You're ridiculous." "You love it." "I really do." We were quiet for a moment, both processing everything that had just shifted between us. Then Liam said, very quietly, "Thank you for being brave enough for both of us. I don't think I could have done this without you forcing me out of my head tonight. We're a team now, that's what teams do." "A team, I like that." His arm tightened around me. "Good night, Ash." "Good night, Liam." I fell asleep with Liam in my arms, feeling for the first time in months like everything was exactly where it should be. Waking up with Liam the next morning was surreal. I'd imagined it, obviously, spent embarrassing amounts of time imagining what it would feel like to wake up next to him, to see his face soft with sleep, to have the right to touch him without questioning whether it was appropriate. The reality was better than anything I'd constructed in my head. He was still asleep when I woke up, his face peaceful in a way I rarely saw when he was conscious. His hair was a complete disaster, sticking up at weird angles. One hand was curled against my chest, the other tucked under his pillow. He looked younger like this, less guarded. I was trying to memorize every detail when his eyes opened. "Hi," he said, his voice rough with sleep. "Hi. Last night was real, right? I didn't dream the whole thing." "Very real." He smiled, slow and genuine. "Good, that's really good." He shifted closer, pressing a kiss to my jaw. "What time is it?" I checked my phone. Almost 9. I slept 8 hours. I haven't slept 8 uninterrupted hours in weeks. Confession-induced exhaustion. More like confession-induced relief. He propped himself up on one elbow, looking down at me. "How are you about all this?" "Honestly, I'm processing in the best way, but it's a lot." "It is." He traced a finger along my collarbone, the touch light and deliberate. "We should probably talk about what this means, logistically." "Ever the practical one." "Someone has to be. You're chaos personified. And you love it." "I really do." He kissed me, morning breath and all. "But seriously, we're roommates who are now, what, dadding together. I don't know the terminology. How about we start with, definitely not just roommates anymore, and refine from there?" "That works, and we should probably tell people. Myra, at least, she's going to lose her mind." "Myra's been telling me to confess to you for months. She's going to be insufferably smug." "Josh has been doing the same thing to me. He'll probably throw a party." "Josh being?" "My best friend. Works at the same company, different department. I've been boring him with my Ash feelings since November." "November? God, we really are idiots." "The best kind of idiots." Liam sat up fully and I immediately missed the warmth of him. "I should probably go shower, and then we should get breakfast, and figure out everything." "That's a lot of shoulds." "Welcome to dadding me. I'm very structured." "I know. It's one of my favorite things about you." He looked at me for a long moment, his expression soft. "You're going to be dangerous for my productivity. I can already tell." "Good, you work too much anyway." After Liam left to shower, I lay in bed for a few minutes, trying to wrap my head around the fact that this was actually happening. That the person I'd been carefully not hoping for had been hoping for me the whole time. My phone buzzed. "Myra. Brunch today. I need to complain about dadding apps." I typed back, "Can't do brunch, but I do have news. Big news. Better than, I'm going to be a dog walker. Way better." "OMG, what?" "Liam confessed he's in love with me at 3 a.m. last night." I confessed back. "We're together now." The phone rang immediately. "Asher Reves," Myra screamed into my ear. "You buried the lead." I was building suspense. "I've been telling you to tell him for months. I know you're very wise. I should listen to you more." "Damn right you should. Oh my God, I need details. All the details. How did this happen?" I gave her the abbreviated version. Liam's stress about his parents' dinner, the 3 a.m. confession. She listened with increasingly delighted interjections. "This is the best thing that's happened all year," she declared when I finished. "You two have been pinning for each other so long I was starting to think it was a lifestyle choice." "It felt like it, yeah." "So what now? What does dadding your roommate look like?" "No idea. We're figuring it out." "Just be careful, okay? I know you're happy and you should be, but you guys live together. If things get complicated, you can't just avoid each other." "I know, we'll be careful." "Good, now go be disgustingly in love. I'll see you this week." After I hung up, I found Liam in the kitchen making coffee with his usual precision. He'd changed into jeans and a soft gray t-shirt, his hair still damp from the shower. "That smells amazing," I said. "Coffee or me?" "Both, don't get cocky." He grinned. "Too late, you're stuck with cocky now." He poured 2 cups, adding cream to mine without asking. He'd memorized how I took it months ago. Josh wants to meet you, properly I mean, as my boyfriend, not just my roommate. Boyfriend, that's the first time you've used that word. Is it okay? We didn't actually define what we're calling this. It's more than okay, I like it, boyfriend. I tested the word, feeling how it fit. Yeah, that works. Good, because I already told him that's what you were, and it would be awkward to backtrack now. When did you tell him? This morning. He texted me at 7 asking if I was still spiraling about my parents, and I said no because I'd had a revelation last night. He demanded details. I provided them. He sent approximately 15 exclamation points and 3 party emojis. That's extremely supportive. He's been listening to me angst about you for months. He's relieved we finally got our act together. Liam sat down at the kitchen table, pulling me into the chair next to his. Speaking of my parents, they're coming Saturday, and I'm going to tell them about us. Are you sure that's soon, if you need more time? I don't need more time. I need to stop living for their approval, and you were right, I'm an adult. My life is mine. He took my hand, threading our fingers together. But I want you to know if they react badly. It's not about you. It's about their inability to accept who I am. I know that. Do you? Because you're very good at internalizing other people's judgments. And I don't want you to think, if they're rude or dismissive or any of the things they might be, it's not a reflection on you or us. Liam, I squeezed his hand. I'm not worried about your parents' opinions. I'm worried about you having to deal with their disappointment. I'll be okay, especially with you here. He paused. You will be here, right, when they visit. I know it's asking a lot. Of course I'll be here. Where else would I be? Relief flooded his expression. Thank you, I don't want to do this alone. You won't have to. We're a team, remember. Yeah, he smiled. We are. We spent the rest of Sunday in that strange, wonderful space of being newly together, figuring out what physical affection looked like now that we were allowed it, having conversations that ranged from serious to ridiculous, existing in our apartment as something new while retaining everything good about what we'd been before. It felt easy in a way I hadn't expected, like we'd been building toward this all year without realizing it, and now that we'd arrived, it was just natural. Monday I had to work, which meant leaving Liam alone to stress about the weekend. When I got home that evening, I found him on the couch surrounded by papers, looking overwhelmed. What's all this? I asked. I'm trying to write down what I want to say to my parents, so I don't lose my nerve in the moment. Can I see? He handed me a sheet covered in his precise handwriting. I read it, my chest tightening. He'd written out not just that he was gay, they knew that part, but that he was in love with someone, that he was happy for the first time in years, that he needed them to make an effort to understand his life instead of just tolerating it from a distance. This is good, I said, really good, honest. It feels vulnerable. That's how you know it's real. What if they don't care? What if I lay this all out and they just don't get it? Then you'll know you tried, and that's all you can control, your honesty. Their response is on them. He leaned against me and I wrapped my arm around him. I'm glad you're here. Me too. Saturday came faster than either of us wanted. Liam's parents were due at 2. By 1:30, Liam was packing the apartment, straightening things that didn't need straightening, checking his phone obsessively. They're going to be fine, I said, not at all sure that was true. You don't know them. I know you, and you're worth fighting for, even if the fight is with your parents. He kissed me quick and desperate. Thank you for being here, for everything. The doorbell rang at 2:07. Liam took a breath, squared his shoulders, and opened the door. His parents were exactly what I'd imagined, elegant, reserved, assessing. His mother's eyes went immediately to me, calculation clear in her expression. Mom, Dad, this is Asher, my roommate, and he took my hand. My boyfriend. The silence that followed felt infinite. Mrs. Chen's face went through several expressions in rapid succession: surprise, confusion, calculation, and finally something that looked like careful neutrality. Mr. Chen just looked between Liam and me, his expression unreadable. "Your boyfriend," Mrs. Chen repeated, the word sounding strange in her slight accent. "I see." "Why don't you come in?" Liam said, his voice steady despite the tension I could feel in his grip on my hand. "We should talk." They entered the apartment with the kind of quiet politeness that suggested they were reserving judgment, which felt worse than outright hostility. At least hostility would be honest. We all sat in the living room, Liam and me on the couch, his parents in the chairs across from us. The silence was excruciating. "How long?" Mrs. Chen asked finally. "We've been together officially for a week," Liam said. "But we've been in love for months. I was too scared to say anything, to him or to you." "And you live together?" Mr. Chen's voice was careful, like he was trying to understand something foreign. "We've been roommates for a year. The relationship is new." "This seems very fast," Mrs. Chen said. "Very impulsive. That's not like you, Liam." "It's not impulsive. It's the opposite. I've spent a year getting to know Ash, learning who he is, falling in love with him. This isn't some spontaneous decision. It's the most carefully considered thing I've ever done." Mrs. Chen's eyes were on me. "And you, how do you feel about my son?" It was a test. I knew it was a test, but it was also an opportunity to be honest. "I love him," I said simply. "He's the kindest, most thoughtful person I've ever met. He makes me want to be better. And I know this must be difficult for you to process, but I need you to know that I'm not going anywhere. I'm committed to him and to building a life that makes us both happy." "You're very young," she said. "I'm 24. Liam's 27. We're adults. Adults with no clear future. Liam, you have a good job, a good life. Why complicate it with—" She stopped, seeming to search for words that wouldn't be overtly offensive. "With a relationship that makes me happy." Liam's voice had an edge I'd never heard. "Mom, I've spent my whole life trying to be the son you wanted, pre-med until I couldn't stand it. Computer science as a compromise. Working jobs I didn't care about because they looked good on paper, and I've been miserable. For years." "You never said." "Because you never asked. You were so focused on what I should be doing that you never asked what I wanted. And what I want, what I've wanted since the day I met Ash, is this. Him. A life that's actually mine." Mrs. Chen looked genuinely shaken. Mr. Chen still hadn't spoken beyond that initial question. "We just want you to be happy," Mrs. Chen said, but it sounded more like a question than a statement. "Then let me be happy, with Ash, without conditions or caveats or waiting for me to change." Liam's hand tightened on mine. "I love him, and I need to know, are you going to be able to accept that? Really accept it, not just tolerate it while hoping it goes away." The silence stretched. I found myself barely breathing, waiting for an answer that felt like it would determine everything. "This is a lot to process," Mr. Chen said finally, his first words since we'd sat down. "You have to understand, Liam, we are from a different generation, a different culture. These things, they are not what we were raised to expect. I know that, but I can't live my life based on your expectations. Not anymore." "We are not asking you to." Mr. Chen looked at his wife, some silent communication passing between them. "But we need time to understand this, to adjust." "How much time?" "I don't know, but Liam," he paused, seeming to struggle. "I don't want to lose you. You are our son. That matters more than our discomfort." It wasn't acceptance, but it was something, a crack in the wall. Mrs. Chen was still looking at me, her expression softer now. "You make him happy." "I try to. He makes me happy too." He seems different, lighter. We noticed it when he answered the door." "That's what being honest does," Liam said. "That's what being with someone who sees you does." She nodded slowly. Then perhaps this is not so bad, but Liam, you must understand, this will take time for us. We cannot change how we think overnight. I'm not asking you to change overnight. I'm asking you to try, to make an effort to know Ash, to understand why I love him, to be part of my actual life instead of the life you wished I had. We can try, Mr. Chen said. That is what we can offer right now, an effort. It wasn't everything, but it was more than I think Liam had expected. Thank you, Liam said quietly. That's thank you. The conversation shifted after that, becoming marginally less tense. Mrs. Chen asked me polite questions about my job, my family, my plans. Mr. Chen talked to Liam about work, carefully not mentioning anything about Liam's personal life beyond acknowledging that he seemed well. They stayed for 2 hours, leaving with promises to call during the week to continue the conversation. It felt fragile but hopeful. After they left, Liam collapsed on the couch, looking exhausted. That was horrible, he said. But you did it. You were honest with them. They didn't exactly embrace us with open arms. No, but they didn't reject you either. Your dad said he didn't want to lose you. That's something. It's something, Liam agreed. It's just, I wanted them to be happy for me, to see how much you mean to me and be glad I found you. Maybe they will be, eventually. These things take time. I know. I'm tired of waiting for people to be okay with who I am. I pulled him against me, and he came willingly, pressing his face into my shoulder. You don't have to wait anymore, not with me. I'm okay with exactly who you are, more than okay. I love you, he said into my shirt, even when things are complicated and my parents are exhausting and I'm a mess. Especially then. We stayed like that for a while, processing the afternoon, letting the tension slowly drain away. Want to order food and watch something mindless? I suggested eventually. That sounds perfect. We ordered Thai food, the same place we'd gone the week before, and queued up a nature documentary neither of us paid attention to. Mostly we just sat together, Liam's head in my lap, my hand playing with his hair, both of us quietly recovering from the emotional weight of the day. Thank you, Liam said during a commercial break, for being here today, for not running when my parents were being difficult. Where would I run? This is my apartment too. You know what I mean. You could have made yourself scarce. Let me deal with them alone. We're a team. Teams don't bail. Best team I've ever been on. He tilted his head back to look at me. I'm glad I told you that night, even though it was terrifying. Me too. Best 3 a.m. confession I've ever received. How many 3 a.m. confessions have you received? Just the one, but it's a high bar. He laughed and the sound felt like victory. Like despite everything, the stress, his parents' uncertainty, all the complicated logistics of building a relationship in the middle of an existing life, we were going to be okay. I need to tell you something, Liam said. That sounds ominous. It's not. I want you to know that this isn't temporary for me. You're not an experiment or a phase or something I'm trying out. I'm all in, Ash, completely. I'm all in too. Good, because I'm kind of ruined for anyone else now. You've set an unreasonably high standard. I'm very high standard. It's my best quality. One of many qualities, all of which I'm cataloging for future reference. That sounds organized and slightly creepy. Welcome to being loved by an engineer. Everything's a system. I kissed him because I could, because he was mine to kiss now, because we'd survived his parents and 3 a.m. confessions and 8 months of mutual pinning. What do we do now? I asked when we came up for air. Now we just live together, honestly, figure out the rest as we go. I like that plan. It's a good plan. I'm very good at plans. You're very good at lots of things. Flattery will get you everywhere. Good to know. We fell asleep on the couch that night, too comfortable to move, too happy to care about practical things like beds and morning neck cramps. And when I woke up at 2 a.m. with Liam pressed against my side, his breathing deep and even, I thought about how much had changed in a week. How one conversation, one moment of terrifying honesty, had rearranged everything. And how grateful I was that Liam had been brave enough to knock on my door at 3 a.m., that we'd both been brave enough to tell the truth, that we'd found each other in the midst of just trying to find affordable rent. Sometimes the best things in life aren't planned. They're just discovered, in shared apartments and Sunday movie nights and the courage to say what you've been too scared to say. Liam stirred against me, his hand finding mine even in sleep. And I knew, with the kind of certainty that can't be rationalized, that this was exactly where I was supposed to be. The apartment looked different now. Not dramatically, we hadn't moved or renovated or made any grand changes, but small things had shifted. Liam's books had migrated to my shelves. My plants had taken over the windowsill in his room. The line between mine and his had blurred into ours gradually, naturally, until one day I realized I couldn't remember which mugs had belonged to whom originally. It was June again, and we were hosting a small gathering. Myra, Josh, a few other friends who'd become part of our collective life over the past year. "I can't believe you two lived together for a year before getting together," Myra was saying, her third glass of wine making her loud and emphatic. "That's some serious slow-burn energy." "We're very slow," I agreed. "It's our brand." "Glacial pace," Liam added, "but we got there eventually." "Because you finally grew a spine and confessed at 3 a.m. like a romantic disaster," Josh said. He and Liam had become close over the past year, and Josh had fully embraced his role as Liam's best friend/emotional support human. "It worked, didn't it?" "It did, though I still can't believe Ash didn't confess first. He's usually more impulsive." "I'm strategic," I corrected. "I was waiting for the right moment." "You were being a coward," Myra corrected. "But it's fine, you're happy now, that's what matters." She was right, we were happy. Not in the uncomplicated fairytale way. Liam's parents were still adjusting. They'd visited twice more, and each time was marginally easier than the last. Mrs. Chen had even asked me about my job last time, seemed genuinely interested in my answer. It wasn't acceptance yet, but it was progress. I'd quit retail 3 months ago, finally, and was working as a communications coordinator for a nonprofit. It wasn't my dream job, but it was better, and it felt like movement towards something. Liam had started taking freelance projects in addition to his full-time work, slowly building toward eventually starting his own company. It was terrifying and exciting in equal measure, and I got to watch him come alive in a way I'd never seen before. We'd figured out how to fight and make up, how to navigate bad days and good ones, how to be partners in all the ways that mattered. "Speech," someone called out, and suddenly everyone was looking at us expectantly. "No speeches," Liam said immediately. "This is just dinner with friends." "It's the 1-year anniversary of you two getting together," Josh argued. "That deserves a speech." "It's actually the 1-year anniversary of us admitting we were together," I corrected. "We were basically together for months before that, just in denial about it." "Even better, speech about emotional repression and eventual breakthrough." Liam looked at me, a question in his eyes. I shrugged. He sighed. "Fine, brief speech." He stood, pulling me up with him, our hands linked automatically. "A year ago I was miserable. Working too much, sleeping too little, convinced I had to be a certain version of myself to be acceptable. And then Ash," he looked at me. "You showed me it was okay to be a disaster, to be honest, to want things that scared me. You showed me it was okay to be directionless," I added, "to not have everything figured out, to take risks on things that mattered." "We're very good at mutual emotional support," Liam said. "The best," I agreed. "So here's to honesty," Liam continued, raising his glass. To 3 a.m. confessions, to building lives that are actually ours, and to finding the person you want to be a disaster with. Hear, hear, Josh said. Everyone drank, and the conversation moved on to other things, but I was still looking at Liam, at the life we'd built together in this apartment that had started as just a practical arrangement and become home. Love you, I said quietly. Love you too, even when you steal all the blankets. I don't steal blankets, I redistribute them fairly. That's not what's happening, and you know it. Later, after everyone had left and we were cleaning up the remnants of the party, Liam said, I got an email today. Good email or bad email? Interesting email. A company in San Francisco wants to interview me for a senior position. Good pay, interesting work, equity options. My stomach dropped. San Francisco, where your parents are. Yeah, I know. He set down the glasses he'd been collecting and came to stand in front of me. I'm not going to take it without talking to you first about what it would mean for us. What would it mean? Either long distance or, he paused, or we'd move together if that's something you'd want. You'd want me to move to San Francisco with you. Of course. Ash, I'm not going anywhere without you. If I take this job, if I even consider it, it's only if you're part of the plan. That's a big decision. It is, which is why I'm not making it unilaterally. We're partners, we decide together. I looked around our apartment, the home we'd built together, the life that had started here. When's the interview? 2 weeks, they'd fly me out for a day. Then go see what it is, and we'll talk about it after, make the decision together. You're sure? I'm sure. Besides, change could be good. I've been stuck in comfortable too long. Comfortable is underrated. True, but you're not comfortable, you're restless. And if this job is what you need to grow, I took his hands. Then we figure it out together. He pulled me into a hug. Tight and desperate. Thank you for being willing to consider it. That's what partners do. Consider things, make choices together. I really love you. I really love you too. 2 weeks later, Liam went to San Francisco for his interview. He came back energized and terrified, full of information about the company and the role and the possibilities. They offered it to me, he said, on the spot, the position, the salary, everything. That's incredible. It is, but Ash, it would mean leaving this. He gestured around the apartment. Everything we've built here. We'd build something new there. You'd really move. Give up your job, your friends, everything familiar. Liam, you're familiar. Everything else is just context. As long as I'm with you, I'm home. He kissed me, and it felt like a promise. San Francisco it is then. We're doing this. We're doing this. 3 months later, we moved across the country together, driving Liam's car packed with everything we owned, taking turns with the long stretches of highway, singing badly to road trip playlists, building our future 1 mile at a time. It was terrifying and exciting and exactly right. Because that's what love is. Not just the 3 a.m. confessions or the perfect moments. It's also the scary decisions and the uncertain futures and the choice to face it all together. A year ago, Liam had knocked on my door in the middle of the night and changed everything with a truth he'd been too scared to say. Now we were choosing each other every day, in big ways and small ones, building a life that was messy and real and ours. And I couldn't imagine anything more perfect.